Okay, so let me just change this to. So I really want my assembly to be called rocks.suggestion.dll, not .modules.suggestion. Okay, so let me change that. Hopefully this will fix the problem. Go to the So now the data provider will be called rocks.suggestion.SQLDataProvider.dll. All right. So now let me save this stuff and try to rebuild it.
Oh.
So now I got a reference problem. And I think it's probably because down here my reference was to the other name. So let me delete that. Just add it back. So now I probably should have gone ahead and used my virtual PC with the one that I actually rehearsed this in. Come on. Okay.
This is more fun now.
Yeah, this is definitely more fun. So I can point myself back at my correct project and I'll get the correct reference here again. Okay, so hopefully now when I rebuild. Yeah, this is the stuff that you really need to see as a module developer, because you'll run into all this stuff yourself, guaranteed. And it's like, what do I do now? And I hate when that happens. You end up stuck. You can build a whole module in a few days, but you'll get stuck on something that takes 2 days to solve. It's like, all right. So hopefully now, when we refresh.
Well, as long as those other assemblies aren't still in there, right?
Well, I don't think that they're in that directory. I think those .modules are there.
Oh, there it is.
So it's working now, finally. All right, sweet. So this is the suggestion module itself, okay? And this is the settings button, and then this is the edit button, basically, and then this is the display module. So when you add this to a page, what you're going to do is you're going to put permissions around both of these. Or maybe you only want people who are logged into the portal, so you make registered users only able to see that. And then you put some instructions here, and you'll see that in the settings in a second where you can edit them. And then you'll set the permissions for this module so that publicly people aren't able to see the suggestions everybody's putting in, or whatever you want to do. You can make it public, or you can restrict it, or whatever. So now the task is to set permissions here. I'm not going to go through doing that stuff. Just believe me that they work. So in the settings page, we're not going to see a whole lot of code here at this rate. So suggestion settings are down here, and what you can do in this suggestion settings is you can remember there's two tables. There's suggestions and suggestion types. So you want your users to be able to assign your suggestions to categories. You can put the categories in here. Add type. Add type. So then it creates a list of these that are available to the users. And here's where you can edit the text that displays on the module itself to give the user instructions for what they're going to do. So I'm just going to, so now when I click Add Suggestion, I have a choice of those so this is the user now, okay? A choice of the things that the admin person put into the settings. So, whatever. I'm just trying to be funny, but not really funny. now in the display module, you can see that the super user is the user who did it, and you can actually see the list of suggestions that were entered in that suggestions module. And I can also pick any other suggestions module on the site. And in this case, to the admin user, it shows which page the module is on as well. So it gives you the ability, because a lot of times these are named sort of, I left it at its default name, but it could have been lunch suggestions or whatever. What is shown here is the name of the module, and then this shows the page which it appears on. Now, if it wasn't an admin user, you won't see this part in the code. You'll see where I make the decision, as to which stored procedure I need to call. The one that returns that, or the one that returns only the list of modules on this page. So anyway, getting into design mode, we can do that now. So let's go to the suggestion code. just go to the event handlers and to the page load event and stick a breakpoint right there. Okay, and then we'll go to tools, attach to process. Since I'm running on my firewall, I meant to shut that off. Sorry. All right. So now on Vista, the process is w3wp.exe. It's the same thing on Server 2003 and 2008. On XP, it's called ASP.NET_WP. And I attach. Okay. Now I'm ready to go. So if I refresh this page, I should hit the breakpoint. Whew. All right. So that's the hard part, getting to your first breakpoint. Now that you're at the breakpoint, you can do whatever developers do, right? Now we have fun. Okay. So here's the problem. I have 8 minutes left to show you all the code. I'm not going to be able to do that. Damn it. I'm just thinking through what I should do. Let me at least show you the project structure and just talk briefly about this. And I can just hit go here and it will. Okay, so let's go and stop debugging now. So if we just take a look at what's in here. All right, so here's a plug for the book. I walked through the module in detail, showing all of the stored procedures and all of the code and all of the ASCX files and all of the definitions and all of the localization stuff. It all gets done. It was pretty complete, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, I've been doing editing for Oxford now, and his code was spot on. There was nothing wrong with the code in that book. it was awesome. I've read quite a few tutorials on module developing, and honestly, it's not because he's standing here. That's one of the best tutorials I've read.
So you can give him $20 later. So.
I will do that.
Actually, it was a bet.
I already gave him $20. I had to pay him in advance. So the ASCX files are the user controls, okay, with their code behind. Let me start at the bottom. So we have the SQL Data Provider project down here, and all this is a SQL Data Provider.db file. And I think we get down here into full screen, and you'll find that there are, there's just oodles of detail here. This is where it picks up your connection strings, your object qualifiers, your database owners, puts them into properties in the SQL Data Provider that the thing needs underneath. It's got a set of private methods, for getting fully qualified names and handling nulls coming out of the database, and then a set of public methods. All right. Now, what we're talking about here, this is what's called a concrete data provider. This is a SQL Server specific data provider. And this is a DLL that's separate from your actual module. So this is all specific to SQL Server. If you're using Oracle or MySQL or whatever, you're going to build your own separate data provider, put it in a separate directory down there, create a separate assembly for it, and then in the web config file, you point at that separate data provider interface for this module. All right, so all this stuff, and it uses the enterprise library data access application block. So you'll see SQL helper.execute scalar, SQL helper.execute non-query, blah, blah, blah. So all this stuff, and here you see this function, get fully qualified name, and you add the name of the suggestion, and that just puts together the object qualifier and the database owner. So there's a bunch of helper functions that are provided. Well, these ones aren't actually provided by DotNetNuke, but there's helper functions like that that are useful throughout the entire system. So this is the actual raw download database code. Next level up, there's an abstract data provider. Okay, so that's what's going to point at these functions. These functions will exist no matter which database you use. Add suggestion, delete suggestion, get suggestions, get suggestion for one. Okay, those will all functions with those names and those parameters will exist no matter which database you're using underneath. The implementation of it will be different in this file, right? But up here in the components folder, then we have this data provider file, and you'll see that in here, what we've got is the abstract methods, which are all of those functions, and they're declared must override in Visual Basic, which means that you can't put any code here. They're just templates, okay?